again. And the 2025 Montana High School football season kicks off this week. So I put together a little preview for Class AA here. Then at the end, I'll give you a breakdown of my top 10 teams preseason and let me know your thoughts. If you enjoy what you see, please like the content, follow the page, share, and always comment. It's always more fun when I'm not talking to myself. Let's start the previews off out east. We'll start with the Belgrade Panthers, 1-8 in 2024. They got their first and only win, week 2 against Flathead in a 3-2 slugfest. It's Jesse Smith's first season, so he's hoping to kind of change the storyline there in Belgrade. He's got a couple of key players to kind of go and follow and kind of build from. So he's got Hudson Rask, this will be his 3rd year on varsity. Actually, his 4th year. He played a little bit as a freshman. But last year, he went 88 out of 170 for 1,022 yards, 7 touchdowns. Ran the rock 78 times for 349 yards, 3 touchdowns. Then on the other end, the receiving end of it, it'll be Wesley Arrett. The University of Montana commit, the 6'2", 190 receiver, had 39 catches and 501 yards and 6 scores last year. So Belgrade is going to look to be building on that. Next up is the Gallatin Raptors. The Raptors started the season off with 10 straight wins, only to fall in the semis to eventual runner-up Glacier. They graduated quite a bit of talent, but they also have probably, if you were drafting fantasy football players for high school, they probably have the number 1 pick in Carter Dalkey. First team All-State, committed to Montana State. Carter had 66 carries for 648 yards, 7 touchdowns, 58 receptions for 1,208 yards and 13 scores. He's been playing since he was a freshman, this being a senior year. So expect big things out of Carter and quite a slew of other players. We got Bobby Gutzman, Luke Jenkins, Diesel Zoller, Sam Talbot, Braden Matthews, Bob Springman, Finn Schultz, just to name a few. Next up is the Bozeman Hawks. So coming into 2024, the Bozeman Hawks were the defending state champs. They started the season off with 3 wins. Great Falls came to town and knocked them off their throne with the shocking 28-7 win for the Bison, and then kind of fell off from there. They struggled against Gallatin. They lost to West. They bounced back against CMR, beat Belgrade, beat Senior, and then fell off against Missoula Sentinel. But they do return some talent. So they have Logan Humphrey, who's part of one of the 3 big tight ends. He was a 2nd-team All-State. This 2025-2026 class of tight ends is probably the best ever in Class AA football. Also, Evan Hugan, 2nd-team All-State wide receiver. He had 43 receptions, 768 yards, 6 touchdowns. Reese Sutherland on the defense, and then Walker Rudell. So the Hawks do have some talent, and they have a tradition, so I wouldn't expect them to kind of fall off too far. I expect them to maybe have a little bit of a bounce back. Good season. Next up is the Billings Senior Broncs. So in 2024, they had a little bit of an up and down season. 3-7 is where they finished, losing their last 3 games. Returning wise, they don't have a ton of talent that I have on written down. So who I have right now is I have Parker Connolly Warner and Ryland Jennings, both Parker was a 2nd-team All-State, while Ryland was 2nd-team All-Conference. Both seniors. Coach Chris Murdoch has been there for years, so he knows how to turn things around. He's had success of his own, and I would expect nothing less going forward. Staying in Billings, we have the Billings Skyview Falcons. Season record was 1-8. They got that 1 win in week 4, and then lost the final 5. As far as returning players for the Falcons, we have Cooper Moucher, punter, junior, 2nd-team All-Conference, and Merrick Fisher, Offensive tackle, also second team all conference. So the Falcons are looking to kind of build upon what they started last year, and maybe win a couple more games. They only got shut out once last year, which I know in years past has been a kind of a sticking point for them. And that was against a Gallatin team that is just absolutely loaded. So on to the next team, the Billings West Golden Bears. So that's the talk of the town. A lot of people have these guys as the top team in the state, returning arguably one of the best recruits in Montana history, and Matt Moose Ludwig. First team All-State, the 6'4", 235 University of Michigan commit. Had a big year last year. He's got his quarterback coming back, C.J. Johnson, Elias Bonner, Peyton Cicero, Jack Ryan, Lane Humphrey, Braden Nielsen. These guys are ready to go. They lost last year in the semis to Helena Capital in Helena. Rough way to go out, but they are hungry in 2025. And my guess is they'll probably see the team they see week 1 at the very end of the season as well. All right, let's head up to the Electric City of Great Falls. We'll start off with CMR Rustlers. They ended the season 4-6 last year, but I think head coach A.J. Wilson has some things to be excited about in 2025. First off with that would be Caleb Taylor, his QB for the last 2 years, coming back for a third year. The 6'4", 205-pound QB threw for almost 1,300 yards last year, 8 touchdowns, and then ran a couple touchdowns as well. Didn't kill it on yards, got a whole 9 yards, but got 2 touchdowns with it. On the receiving end of that, he's got Drew Etcheberry. So second team all-conference receiver, had 44 catches, 483 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I would expect that number to go up this year. Some of the other returning players would be Hunter Lee, the second team All-State linebacker, J.D. Lofgren, Blake Herta, Lincoln Setter, committed to the University of Montana after a big junior year. So I think the Rustlers are excited for 2025. And last but not least, out east is the Great Falls Bison. The Bison went 6-4 in 2024. Their regular season losses were to Glacier, Gallatin, and West. I can't complain too much about those losses. Their fourth one happened against Butte, home game, playoffs. Butte came back in the final couple minutes and won 21-17. Other than that, the Great Falls has some key parts returning. Steele Harris being the first one. The second team All-State wide receiver, kick returner with great bloodlines. His brother plays for Boston College. Had 18 carries, 217 yards for 2 touchdowns. Had 34 catches, 601 yards through the air with 4 touchdowns there. They also have Coulter DeVos and Bladden Madell. So they did graduate a couple of big pieces, but I believe Great Falls will be good again. We'll start the western side with the Butte Bulldogs. The Butte in 2024 had only 3 regular season wins, but when it came to the playoffs, that did not matter. They came from behind at the end to knock off Great Falls. Coach Ari Gray must have a book of magic because he's done this time and time again over the years. And then the next week in Glacier, they gave the Wolfpack everything that they could handle with a 48-38 loss. So the record may not look like a successful year, but looking at that looks like quite a bit of success for the Butte Bulldogs. With that, they do have one of the best tight ends in the state returning in Hudson Ludke. First team All-State, 6'2", 185. Hudson had over 800 yards receiving and 10 touchdowns to go along with 71 catches. The previous year, he had 42 catches. So Hudson built himself a nice little career there. They are also returning Mitch Verlanik, amongst others. I know they'll be breaking in a new QB. Sounds like another running back, but Butte is always tough. Next up, we'll head over to Missoula. The Big Sky Eagles went 7-4 in 2024. Ended up losing to Billings West in 37-27 for that game. But 7-4 is a pretty darn good season for head coach Matt Johnson, heading into his 16th season. This year he'll have a couple of All-State returners, so Coulter DeVos and Cormac Batt return for him, as well as Cade Williams, junior quarterback Avery Omelette, Caleb Hood, Augustus Gobla. Sorry about the pronunciations on these guys' names, guys. Cal Marcio, Blake Williams, and Keller Hedrick. All return for the Eagles for what I can only assume will be another good solid season where anyone can take it. Next, we're headed out to Kalispell, the Glacier Wolfpack. Only one team beat them last year. They did it twice. So Glacier finished 10-2. Head coach Grady Bennett has taken his team to the last 3 state championships, I believe. Last 2 for sure. And he's got a lot of talent returning. He's got 5 All-State players that will be back this year, led by QB Jackson Presley, the committed to Sacramento State currently, I believe. First team All-State, 6'2", 195. He's thrown for almost 6,000 yards in his career, 53 touchdowns. He's ran for 16. So Jackson has put up quite a career so far, and this year will probably be bigger and better. Also, we have Wayne Cox, Maverick Deedy, who just committed to Army, Asher Nopik, Jesse Baines, Will Assel, Cooper Pelk. I believe this will be another state championship level team for Glacier. Look forward to seeing what they bring. Staying in the Kalispell area, we have the Flathead Braves. The Braves had a rough 2024, going 0-9. Mac Roche, first-year coach, comes in hoping to change that culture. I know Mac has had tons of success in his coaching career, hoping to bring it to the Flathead Valley. He's got some tools to do it as well. He's got returning QB Eli Koopman. He's got Cohen Riley, Will Hollensteiner, Nolan Campbell. All these guys are looking to make 2025 a much more successful season. Heading back to Missoula, we have the Hellgate Knights. Hellgate went 1-8 last year, not a ton of success. So insert new head coach Quinn Chamberlain. I believe Quinn comes from Florence, where he was the offensive coordinator. Seen a ton of success there. So somebody knows how to win and build a championship program. I believe Quinn can do it. As far as tools in the tool bag to make that happen, he does have a couple of University of Montana commits in Evan Pyron, the defensive end, tight end, second team All-State, Parker Link, the safety, both seniors, as well as Vince Paffhausen, so an experienced QB for the Knights to take on 2025. Staying in Missoula, next up we have the Sentinel Spartans. In 2024, they went 5-6 under head coach Dane Oliver, ending with a loss to eventual champion Helena Capital in the quarterfinals. But they did get the big win in Bozeman on the road, 42-19 to open up the playoffs. So not a bad end of the year for the Spartans. Returning for them, they have 3 second-team all-conference players. Cade Robinson, Blaze Olson, Cade Wallace. So I would expect big things in 2025 again from the Sentinel Spartans. Always a tough team, ready to come and play ball. Next up, we head to Helena. We'll start with the Helena Bengals, who went 5-6 in 2024. Not the greatest season by Helena standards, but they did get the playoff win over CMR and then went down to Bozeman and lost to the Gallatin Raptors in the quarterfinals. They did graduate quite a bit, but Helena being the historic program they are, they never seem to really rebuild. They seem to always reload. So I only have one guy on the list that is a key returning player, second team all-conference trench guy, and I know I'm going to murder his name, so I'm sorry, Nick. Nick Kantorowicz, offensive tackle senior. that doesn't mean with only one guy on the list at end of the year, this list won't be full of 10, 11 names going into next year. And last but certainly not least, the state champion 2024 Helena Capital Bruins. There's three certainties in life: death, taxes, and Helena Capital playing in November. So last year, the Bruins lost week 1 and then ripped off 11 straight, outscoring opponents 41-12. So almost a 29-point scoring difference over the whole year. The coach Mahalish did lose his son Merrick, the Gatorade Player of the Year, but the cabinet is far from empty. He does return a couple of commits to University of Montana and Montana State, and it's Helena Capital. They are a football factory. So some of the key players returning are Derek Opitz down in the trenches, first team All-State, going to be a Grizzly next year, so just switching the Bear names. Noah, another offensive lineman, first team All-State center. Drew Almquist, probably the number one talent for the junior class. Brent Linder, first team All-State, committed to Montana State. As far as a linebacker, big boy, 6'3", 215, carried the ball 60 times last year for 3 touchdowns. Also caught 3 passes and a touchdown. So look for Helena Capital to just reload and make a run into November again in 2025. Alright guys, so I'm going to attempt at making a preseason top 10. This is a little difficult, especially here in the middle, pretty murky. I'm going to go here at number 10 with the Helena Bengals. These guys are consistently right there. I don't know a lot about what they're bringing back, but I do know they have a tradition of winning, and I don't expect that to change this year. At number 9, I'm going to go with the team I feel has one of the biggest home field advantages in all classes. It's the Butte High Bulldogs. Naranchi is by far one of the coolest places. If you haven't been there, go check these guys out. Coming in at number 8, I'm going with the CMR Rustlers. They have some big talent coming back. They had a good season last year. I expect them to be right in the mix this year. I would not be surprised to see them finish higher than this. Lucky number 7, I'm going to go with the Bozeman Hawks. Just 1 year removed from state championship. I have to think last year was a little bit of a fluke, and these guys will come back strong and in the fight. Coming in at number 6, I am going with the Great Falls Bison. Main reason is they beat Bozeman last year. They beat CMR, and I think they probably should have beat Butte High in the playoffs as well. I anticipate Great Falls to have another strong season. Coming in at number 5, I have the Missoula Big Sky Eagles. They have a ton of talent returning, experienced coaching staff. I think they have what it takes to make a strong run this year. Number 4, we're going with the Gallatin Raptors. They have probably the most electric player in the state. So I think these guys will be right there come November to make a run for that championship. Coming in at number 3, and I can't believe I'm putting the champs here, but we have the Helena Capital Bruins. These guys have all the pieces to take another championship this year. I just think the other 2 teams are way too talented. Number 2, I'm going to go with Billings West. That does not mean that I necessarily think they will lose to Glacier week 1. I just think that Glacier is going to be the better team come the end of the season. Billings West has talent upon talent amongst one of the biggest recruits of all time in Montana history. So it's going to be an interesting season. I can't wait to see these teams take off. All right, that wraps up my preseason top 10 and AA preview. If you guys enjoyed this content, please like, follow, subscribe. It only encourages me to continue this content and keep building, as well as get other resources to make this bigger and better. The whole goal is to get these kids recognized. They all work so hard. You parents, you're amazing. Father, myself, so I totally understand the time it takes to make these things happen. Your kids will forever be indebted to you. The coaches that put in the countless hours, you guys are amazing. I've been in your shoes, and I just don't know how you do it. You guys are heaven sent. Parents, coaches, athletic directors, anybody that is interested in talking with me, helping with content, either giving pictures, video footage, or anything else that you want me to include on the page. I'm going to be doing previews for each game, for all the games this year. I'm going to do predictions, recaps, the whole thing. We want to make 2025 the biggest year yet.